Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe. Entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farah.
Hello, we are back. I'm just putting my phone on mute. Is your phone on mute?
I've turned off.
Good man, good man. You know these shows like Parky and Wogan?
Yep. It's not like that.
It's not like that. It's not like that. It's not like that.
Isn't Wogan dead?
Is he dead, is he?
Yeah.
Is
no
he?
Eurovision, man. No Eurovision.
Oh, yeah, it's Graham thing, isn't it? He was a legend on Eurovision, by the way.
Brilliant. Made it.
He did indeed. So you'd be backstage right now if this was Wogan.
What, in the green room?
In the green room.
Drinking?
You could have one if you want.
Yeah. It was really drunk it went on that time.
There's been a few.
Yeah.
There has been a few.
I wouldn't be like.
Oh, obviously not. Well,
No.
not like 1 o'clock because it's 1 o'clock here. You know, the people will be watching on demand though, Mike.
Absolutely.
Feel
free to have a glass of wine, a beer.
Yeah, do what you want.
Not that we're advocating heavy drinking, by the way.
Well, it didn't say heavy, just 1 or 2. It's fine.
Okay. Controlled.
Control. unlike this afternoon's performance. Because lots of people watch us on catch up because obviously people will be working, they'll be in meetings and that sort of thing. So if you're watching on catch up, thanks for joining us. So if this was Wogan or Parky, why is my mouse not working? We'll sort it later. I would say Mike Weedon is a diploma level qualified independent financial advisor with over 20 years experience working in the financial services industry.
It's me.
Financial planning isn't just for the mega rich and famous.
It's not.
And Mike helps hardworking people confidently arrange their finances.
Yeah, good reading.
And thanks very much. And then I'd say, welcome to the Industry Angel, Mike Weedon. And then you'd kind of walk through, there'd be a band playing and you'd take a seat. We don't have that.
I feel I've missed out.
We could get a sheet over you, right? And when I say Mike Weedon, I say, release the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mike Weedon, everyone.
There's no applause.
I've got a button for applause. Hang on.
Come on.
You won't be able to hear this, but.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Right. Let's see if my mouse will work, because if it will, I can put some comments on screen. So if you're there and you're watching, let us know where you are. Let us know you're watching, because Mike, we are live over Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. No pressure.
Not at all.
And we can throw comments on screen. So if you're there, let us know you're there. It's really good to interact as well, because you'll take questions, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You will take questions.
Try and keep them sort of professional rather than personal. That would be helpful.
Right. Well, I always like to say, you will answer any question.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Stuff.
Who have we got there? Stevie Sullivan. He's watching me for bingo at Ziggy's. I need to go down to this bingo. I see.
Yeah.
Do you know Stevie?
Didn't he win an award at the...
He did win an award. Well
yes,
done.
I did say that. You won the South Tyneside Business Award.
No, Pride of South
Sorry,
Tyneside.
sorry, Pride.
Yeah, he's one of our local legends.
Yes.
So well done, Stevie. Yes, I do see your bingo posts on Facebook. I think it's during the day, though, was it not? So maybe we could go down and play bingo after this.
Listen, if there's someone looking for retirement advice there before you call in house, I'll be there.
Is that your mate?
He's my colleague.
Oh, really?
Colleague, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So he's obviously not doing any work now. So,
well, I would imagine if your colleagues, support you in your role, they would be watching you right now. So, hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us again. Let us know.
Is that Matthew?
You're Mike.
I'm Mike. That's Mike. I'm Mike, and that's Matthew.
That's why I don't get big shows like Wogan. That's why.
I didn't understand.
To be honest, though, right? Those shows couldn't do what we do live.
No,
because they take
scripted
edits. It's scripted. I mean, I don't get any questions given to me at all.
No.
It's really funny, these questions, because I was laughing earlier on. I obviously read them, 3 minutes before you turned up.
I wrote them about 4.
It's really, how much do I need to retire?
Are you asking me personally?
Yeah, it's in here. How much? I mean, that's just. We'll get onto that.
It's a stupid question.
It is. I didn't write them. You did.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Or Sky.
No, I wrote them. I did write them. Yeah.
All right. Is Sky watching?
That one was a bit last minute. So.
Is Sky watching?
Hope so, but you never know. She's very, very busy. So
Yeah. If you are watching Sky, let us know. There's our Misha, look.
Misha's watching.
Who's just been trying to get all the microphones working. I think we should get onto it. Listen, I tell you what it is. Financial advisor.
Yeah.
Your title?
Yeah. Financial advisor, financial planner, wealth manager, you can call us what you want within reason.
Wealth manager.
Yeah.
When you were at school,
yeah,
and the teacher said, Mike or Michael.
Michael it was.
Michael,
yeah.
What do you want to do when you grow up, Michael?
I didn't answer that question. I said I wanted to be an accountant.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Right, okay.
So what I'd done is I went to university and I studied accountancy for a year down in Manchester.
Did you know?
I had a fantastic year. Social life was phenomenal. The course was an absolute nightmare, and I didn't learn a great deal because I didn't want to be an accountant after about 2 weeks of doing the course.
Honestly, straight away, do you?
100%. So they were saying, "Oh, it's just because you're away from home." I said, "No, I love that bit. This bit's great. It's just I hate the course."
Did you not do any
research on the course?
No, I was thinking about like experience, like job experience, like work experience, and going to accounts. Just went for it.
I just went for it. I just thought, 18-year-old, you know everything, don't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, just done.
But you're good with numbers, though, eh?
I'm not bad. Not bad. Countdown. It's got a bit of a challenge, the number ones, but I'm generally doing it.
There's your mate Sky is watching.
Sky is watching it.
And Grand weapons are looking good.
Yeah, it's good. No,
well, obviously you're looking dapper. I said that when you came in.
Exactly. I've
made give us a heads up, couldn't you?
No.
So you were going to do a degree?
Yeah. So I started my degree. Thought I was going to be an accountant. Hated it. Mm-hmm. And then quite quickly realised that I needed a pathway to stay in Manchester to prolong my social activities and find a course that could help me do that. Uh-huh. So I withdrew from accountancy in the Easter and had a fabulous last semester or term as it was then. Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And I kid you not, I'd done a degree in financial services.
Right.
And I could almost, the rest's history, as they say.
In Manchester?
In Manchester. So I swapped Manchester University for Manchester Metropolitan. The old Polly. Did it bother me? Absolutely not, when he'd made loads of great mates and life experience. And I think what I did learn at university was just life skills. I left Newcastle in 1995, where it was a very insular place, the northeast of England, where everyone was white and English. And then I went to Manchester, and the most diverse place I'd ever known. I was staying, a stone's throw from Rusholme. I was staying in a hall of residence with a guy from Ghana, a Jewish bloke. The guy next door was Muslim. 2 girls down the corridor from Oxford. Completely diverse backgrounds. Class. And I think whatever I took away from university, I took away that I could quite quickly work out that I could converse with lots of different people. And for me, that was the one thing I took, apart from the socializing, but generally the interaction with different people from different backgrounds. Yeah. And it was the whole thing was a fantastic experience. Especially 18, I'm just thinking there, my boy's 18. If I threw him into that kind of mix, he would know about it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was just, completely not out of my comfort zone, but, I was always brought up to, there's good and bad of every people, and and that just reaffirmed my upbringing basically. And, just best experience ever. So you go and do financial advice? No. It was a degree in financial services. Financial services, sorry. What is that? It was a BA Hons. So done that for 2 years, done an internship. At a financial advisory network in between my second and third year, just in the summer. Went for a bursary, and I didn't get it, and I was very disappointed about that. But I got over the disappointment, worked through them throughout the summer, kept in touch with them. In the February and March of my final year, I had a phone call from what was then the marketing director. He said, "Why don't we meet up? There might be a job coming up." Yeah. So I had my first interview in a bar in Manchester over 3 pints of Stella. I said how much I thought I was worth. He told me how much I was getting paid, and the negotiations were brought to quite an abrupt end. And he said, "When's the last exam?" I said, "Friday the 16th of June." Mm-hmm. He said, "Can you start? When do you start?" I went, "Monday the 19th," and literally had the weekend off and started work. Excellent. So, yeah. I was very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Where was that, in Manchester?
Yeah, it was in Salford Keys. So yeah, I was working for a company called Financial Options, where I actually met Chris Breward, who set the Wealth of Advice up.
Oh,
so that goes all the way back to 1995, 96.
We're getting nicely into where you are now. Then.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for joining us. My mate Adam there, who else we got with us? Rory, when is it to? I can't hear that. What was it? What's on the other side? I can't read that. When is it to?
Never too late to plan a pension.
When is it too late? Oh.
It's not. No, as long as you're realistic with what you're going to get out of it. Everyone wants to start a pension 20 years ago. We can't change that. What we can do is formulate a plan from where we are today and move it forward. So it's never too late, really.
We'll come on to that. When's the best time to plant a tree?
Before it rains.
20 years ago. When's the next best time to plant a tree?
20 years and a day.
Today.
Why?
So if you haven't planted a tree, just plant it today. So if you haven't got your pension 20 years ago, you can start now.
Yeah.
You can have that.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep that.
You can have that. I'm in marketing, man. Come on, you know that.
Okay.
Right, okay. So my first question on these lovely questions that I know, but it keeps me on point. It keeps me on track. When was Wealth of Advice set up? So you talk about Chris there for a sec.
Yeah, so it's Chris' business. So he was working an accountancy practice, and he set Wealth of Advice up in 2011 with who's now his wife and someone that he was working with, just to bring financial advice to normal people, normal hardworking people as well. We're in the northeast of England. There is a massive north-south divide, but he just saw a gap in the market. So Durham was where he chose to base himself. And, you go 11, 12 years down the line, and I would say 80, 90% of our clients are currently within maybe a 10, 15 mile radius, well, probably less, a 5, 10 mile radius of Durham. There's some big employers where we almost have become their IFA of choice, not formally, but just through word of mouth recommendation. So, someone working there will instinctively say, well, go and see Wealth of Advice because, they looked after me, they looked after him. It's been a massive success. The company's grown. We've got about 16 people working in Durham. I was there this morning. Great bunch of team, great fit, really young and energetic, and a number of clients
like us.
Yeah, just like us. All striving to be the best they possibly can, sitting numerous exams. And I hate to say this, I'm the oldest at 45.
Oh yeah,
it breaks us that 45.
I like being a bit older now. I haven't got a choice, have I, really?
Well, I don't. But when you mention things like, do you remember Harry Enfield and Julio Jodio and stupid things like that?
Just kind of get it. But we've got young colleagues around us and they keep us young. I mean, it's mad though that humor has changed a lot, hasn't it? Sometimes you sit there and go, that's not really funny. Yeah. Sorry, Misha, if you're watching. Actually, in terms of who's watching, we've got Adam there. Afternoon, lads. So Adam's in our building.
Yeah.
So you've come to South Shields. You've got your colleagues at Durham. You've got an office there. You're a sand dancer, aren't you?
Not by birth. I was married and just love it here. Best place in the world. Absolutely love it. I think the people from South Tyneside and especially Shields are spoiled. You don't know how good it is.
Yeah. No, I know. No, I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we dipped our toe and we had a look at this before COVID. COVID came. We backed away from opening another office, and I can honestly say, being in this place 2 months, if anyone's thinking about locating in South Tyneside, have a look at 1 Trinity Green. There's a really, really nice, professional, friendly vibe about the place. Vibe's a young person's word. I apologise for that. But
are you picking it all up now, aren't you?
I'm done with the kids, so I'm, an appeal to all audiences. Thanks. But yeah, it is. It's a really nice place, and selfishly, I save an hour and a half every day driving to Durham.
Yeah.
So
but you would say this because Gren is obviously the gaffer. He looks after us all in the business centre. And as I said there, Adam is a resident tenant as well. And as you say, it's got a real good feel to it. And we're all kind of collaborating. You and I collaborate on stuff. Adam and I collaborate on stuff. What was your thoughts around coming to South Tyneside? Then obviously you'd been in Durham, you'd built that. You said that portfolio for like 5-10.
So we've got a blueprint, and we know what works, and we know what we're looking for. We know what good looks like, and we know who we can help now. So we can replicate it somewhere else. So there's a number of businesses, as we sit here around us, there's some big employers. It just feels like the right place. But we've done really well in Durham, and like I said, we've almost become the IFA of choice for some big companies here. And we know that if we can just tap into some companies here, and give them access to good, honest financial advice, which we do genuinely offer, I just think there's lots of potential in South Tyneside. I really do. And we just need to, get in front of them. And all we want to do is speak to people that are either at or planning towards retirement. So I'm genuinely really excited to be tasked with opening this office. It's the first time we've opened another office, so there's no pressure on me at all. I wish there wasn't. But yeah, so I do. I think there's lots of opportunities, and it's exciting times ahead. So
it's interesting. You said you got a lot of big companies, and that's great. Obviously, here in South Tyneside, we've got a lot of SMEs, a lot of micro businesses, and people know how much I like to bang the drum about the micro businesses that we have. 1 to 10 employees, and SMEs 10 to 250, I imagine. Who is the ideal client then? Because I don't think it is just
You're absolutely right, and I think what we've found over the last 10 years or so, the people that you wouldn't necessarily think were wealthy in retirement can do with the right advice if you can put a plan in place and nurture them through a period of time, and they just need a bit of guidance. The amount of people that say, I've got 6 or 7 pensions, I don't know where they are. We pull them together and we put a plan together. So, our ideal client is, someone who's, either approaching retirement and just needs a bit of guidance or planning for retirement. That there's lots of different. You then got clients that are younger. So the demographic of our typical clients probably, 55 to 60. We want to help as many people as we can, but we work better in that sort of demographic where we can see them and help them implement the plan. Because the best bit of the job, the absolute best bit of the job, is when you turn around to a client and say, you don't have to wait until 65, you don't have to wait until 67, and we bring it to life with them. And typically clients that have worked in a manual job, it's all right, me sitting on my backside all day, as I'm told. I can sit in an office
watching
in a sedentary job, but if you've got a hard manual job, it takes its toll on the body. So, shaving a few years off retirement and telling them that they can actually afford to live the lifestyle that they want is a game changer for clients as well. And the relief, the shoulders drop on, and when we do what we call cash flow modeling. So what we do is we put all the cash that they've got, what expenditure they've got planned through the retirement, and how much income they need, and we just play it through. We're just in a live session with a client this morning, and it all works for him. So we played around with how much he needs, and it just brings the whole thing to life. We see them every year. The plan changes, but then seeing the client a year into retirement. So you say, what does the ideal client look like? You jokingly asked, how much do I need to retire?
Yeah.
And you ask that to a client, so you say, well, how much do you think you'll need a month? And they'll say, well, I've never retired before. How do I know? How do I know how much I'm going to need? So will I spend more in the winter? Will I spend more in the summer? So it does take a full calendar year to take the client through that journey. But it's just nice saying, some are more skeptical about retiring. I've got a builder who's convinced he'll drop down dead. So he's saying he's never going to retire. Okay. So I don't know what research he's done on that, but he knows someone in the pub. Well, he doesn't know someone in the pub because he died. So he's convinced he'll not retire. And you've got other clients that, the earliest you can retire is 55, and you've got some counting down to 55. So, it's not a one size fits all for retirement.
I'm just going to throw this on screen because it's my friend Finley here. What does Finley say on the right hand side? If you could
go back in time, would you place
more focus on contributing
to an ISA or a pension? Yeah, it's a really good question.
So just before you answer that, the reason I brought Finley in is Finley's a young man, okay? So when we talk about ideal clients, Finley's just starting out in his career. And Rory had that comment earlier on, when's the best time? So that I just wanted to frame that for you.
Yeah, it's great. So it all depends about, short and long-term plans. ISA's great. You put your contributions in, grow in a tax-free environment. You've got almost instant access to that. You put money into a pension, you get your tax relief going in, but you're locking it away until, 55, and that's going to move to 57, 58 as we transition. The easy answer is both. But the more you save, the earlier you save, the quicker you'll be able to retire. So it's a balance. Some one's a saving and investment, and one's a long-term exit plan to how you're going to retire and how you can effectively stop working. So it depends on if you're saving for a house or a round the world trip. When you're young, it's difficult, and it's very difficult to time frame retirement when you're 20, 30 year old. And I'm only 45, but I haven't retired. But speaking to clients, they'll say, in a blink of an eye, I've gone from being 45 to early 60s, and I haven't really planned what I'm going to do. It's just crept up on me. So I need a plan. So the earlier you put that plan into place, you control the process. And the more you can put in early, every workplace provider should in theory be providing you with a pension. So you should be at least putting the minimum in, if that's a nest or a people's pension or something. The earlier you start the journey, and it's easy for me to say in my mid-40s. When I was younger, I didn't think about a pension. And it's like everything in life, that the earlier you start, the easier it becomes. So it depends on what your drivers are, but there's no better investment than a pension because of there's no better product than a pension because of the tax relief you get going in and the tax-free cash coming out, as current regulations state.
And of course, your employer might give you a bit as well.
Absolutely. It's free money. It's
free
money. And we all like something for free at a time when everything's going up in price. So it is tough times for people. It's the tightest squeeze on disposable income since the 80s. So I'm mindful of that. And everything that we do with clients has to be affordable. So you've got to be realistic with clients. It's no point me sitting here saying, plow loads of money into save everything you possibly can. That's ivory tower stuff. I'm a realist. I know that clients have to live, and it's getting the balance with them. But a good financial advisor gets them in the balance between being recklessly frugal and recklessly aggressive. And that applies to all ages and all stages of life. So it's about formulating a plan, and it's a two-way interaction that stays. If you put this in, we'll model that out over a period, and that's how much you get. But it has to be affordable. Otherwise, it becomes a begrudging contract that you don't really value. Yeah,
it's a really good point. I'm glad Finley chipped in there, because as a young man, I think you had a look at my pension recently, and I started a similar time to Finley, and your advice was you should have stayed where you were, mate, because I was on a final salary pension.
Absolutely.
I did the same as Finley, but of course, you'll be wanting to get the cars and move out. And house prices now, it was easier when we were boys to get on the ladder. Now it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So, you will be needing a little bit of that income. And of course, the generation now, they'll be getting a legacy.
Absolutely.
From hopefully, being a realist.
Not being more, but and I think that's the conversation we have with clients. Are you expecting any inheritance? Because inheritance, as some people of our generation, my parents owned their own property. My grandparents didn't. So we're in a scenario now where you're absolutely right. Inherited wealth is going to be a big chunk. So be realistic, I think, about how much you can save, because it is tough getting on the property, and there's different time frames in your life that you'll go through, and you just have to be realistic. So my simple advice would be save as much as you can, but be realistic as well. Just once you get used to paying it, though, you'll forget about it. So once the direct debit kicks in, just like it does for your mobile phone for 2 years or your PCP, if it comes off your salary as well, you don't even see it, so you can't miss what you haven't got. The earlier the better, but it is tough at the minute.
And keep it cool with those clothes, Finley. All right, you don't spend too much, mate. Let's see what our Adam's got there. I think the potential self-tying businesses like ours working together can improve. Does Mike find that people in the Northeast still? What's that, Mike?
Love having a local, shall I say,
or even old school approach. Okay, so Adam's talking about the network we've got in the self-tying, just for the people listening on the podcast later on. Adam's asking there, do people still like an old school approach, i.e. in the borough or in the town where the client
there's
is?
a bit of nepotism that people, that's a big word, isn't it? Nepotism.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. Had alphabet spaghetti for me to know. I think there is an element of that. And we've picked up a number of clients that have, some of their advisors have just retired and not done anything. There hasn't been any sort of legacy that they've passed them on to another financial advisor. But I think it's the sort of relationship you need face to face, because what you're saying, this is effectively someone's life savings that you're dealing with, that they've saved and they've planned. So yeah, I think it really does bring it to life when you are face to face. And we'll call a spade, and we'll not tell the client necessarily what they want to hear. We'll tell them what's right for them, and sometimes that's uncomfortable because not everyone can afford to retire early. There are some scenarios where you're going to say, you just haven't got enough in your fund at the moment to retire. If you want this standard of living, you don't have it in your fund. That doesn't happen that often, but you have to be honest with clients and manage their expectations, because there's a pot of money. The challenge is when you retire, three things happen. One, you stop getting paid every month. Two, you stop getting pension contribution in, and this pot of money that you've built up for 20, 30, 40 years starts getting depleted. So, in technical terms, you go from accumulation to decumulation, and the cash starts coming down.
Yeah.
And some clients struggle with that, and they say, have I got enough money? Will it run out? And they're the two questions we get a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. Will my money run out? Well, it shouldn't run out. But pension freedom a number of years ago was... the government effectively said to the whole public, you can cash your chips in whenever you want. You can have all your pension fund out. And there's a big concern that clients were going to just deplete the funds.
Yeah.
Now, it is potentially the worst thing a client could ever do, because the huge amount of unnecessary tax that they pay to do that, but there's nothing stopping them. And that's why it becomes a two-way stream that we want to get the most possible money out of the client with paying the least amount of tax possible, and maximizing every sort of tax vehicle that we can for them. So
I want to touch upon your style, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly dapper.
Absolutely.
The style of wealth of advice more so, because I think you guys are a little bit like us at Far North here. We do things differently. That's what we say. And I think even some of your marketing material, it's about not having the nice fish tanks or gold brochures, and that kind of stuffy corporate maybe vision that people have about this sort of area. Yeah. Is that something that you guys, from a cultural ethos point of view, said, no, I'm going to bust that myth? And
I think some people think they just can't afford a financial advisor. Okay. It's for the rich and famous. That's just not the case. Where, there are fees attached to using a financial advisor, but we've got over 600 really happy clients with us. We're doing something right. So, fees are part of everyday life. There's a cost of doing it, but we genuinely believe we offer great advice at, a cost-effective value for money price. So we just want to call a spade a spade. We want to deal with real people. We want to talk in a language that they understand. We want to be open and honest and transparent. And I think the big difference for Wealth of Advice is that we're a younger firm. If you look at the average age of a financial advisor, it's 57, 58-year-old. I'd hate to do the average in our company, but I pull it the age the wrong way by being 45, which is also closer to 50, which I've worked out.
Plenty of time.
But yeah, we do. We just want to deal in a language that clients know. I think certainly growing up, financial advisors have an appalling reputation in the press, whether it's a dodgy IFA on Coronation Street, which, 15, 17 million people watch, to, stories in the press and the Daily Mail about, Ponzi schemes and pension funds collapse. And there's so much negativity built around that. Yeah. And, it is doom and gloom at the press. We're on about, inflation going up, interest rates going up, disposable income going down, FTSE crashing. FTSE hasn't crashed, it's gone down, it's volatile. But what you don't get the counterbalance, you don't get the good news, you don't get the uplift in the market. So it's just saying to clients, listen, it's tough at the minute, But this is part of a long-term plan. You know, we knew it was going to be volatile. There's just a huge magnifying glass over the whole market at the minute.
You touched upon the sort of economic outlook at the moment. Do you want to throw any sort of pills of wisdom? Don't blow our minds though, right?
Yeah,
you're talking about Dow Jones and FTSE and all this carry on.
It's tough. I mean, if you look at what's going on, you know, as I sit here today, we've got inflation rumored to be peaking at 8.5% either this month or next. We've came away from COVID, so yeah, that's been a challenge, but hopefully we're over that. Yet there's 370 million people locked down in China at the minute through that. You've got wage inflation in America. So if you look at a Walmart driver who was paid $85,000 last year, he's getting paid $115,000 this year. So at some point when we go up the road to Asda, that's going to, you know, end up on the cost of a loaf of bread, a pint of milk or whatever. It's tough at the minute. There's no two ways about it. But clients instinctively want you to do something at the minute. Okay. So it's like, what we're going to do to mitigate the circumstance. Some of them are. The vast majority of our clients are educated by us enough to realize that. I think what we've had to do and what we've done much better with clients is manage the message to them about doing nothing's doing something. Because when we first met and we set this plan up, this is what we were going to do. Every portfolio has volatility in it. Yeah. We're just seeing a massively magnified period of volatility. We can't keep using terms like we're in uncharted territory, but we are. I mean, I can honestly say I never thought I'd be talking about a global pandemic and a war in mainland Europe. You know, we just couldn't have predicted that. Yeah. You then look at some, not to blow everyone's mind, but, you know, a lot of these, you know, very, very well-versed and very, very educated fund managers were holding the FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Netflix is falling like a lead balloon. Yeah, everyone watching this has probably had the email. It's going up at $10.99. That's because the revenue is just dropping like an absolute stone at the minute. Yeah. So, you know, it's about educating clients, about saying there's lots of bad news at the minute, but if we look back at history and past performance is no guide to future performance, I get the regulatory stance in. It's the only thing we've got that over a long period of time, the markets always went upwards. So we know that coming out the market, so some clients quite rightly would say, oh, it's choppy at the minute. My fund's down 2%, 3%, 5%. Shall I go to cash? Now,
I'm going to ask you a really, really obvious question before we do that. Okay. You talked about the market there and lots of impact. Why would that impact on a pension? So what happens to your...
So depending on how you formulate your pension fund, you've got different asset classes. Okay. So you've got a broad range of funds. So if you can think about a football team, an analogy in a football team, they've all got slightly different jobs. The goalkeepers and the defenders are about stopping the goals in. So some of your stocks are about not going down, about making sure you stay where you are and just pay a little bit into it or just go a little bit forward. Then you've got your midfielders. So your box-to-box midfielders. So they're things like multi-asset funds. So they invest in a whole range of funds throughout the world. And then you've got your attackers, which are what we call equities. And equities are shares and firms. And that's where you get your growth. So if the market comes back and falls down value, the fund prices fall. So the only free lunch you get in financial services in the pension investment world at the moment is diversification. So we try to get negatively correlated assets. So we try and keep you in a period that as some goes up, some goes down. So in simple terms, if you know the value of funds are falling, potentially that impacts on your pension. And all your funds are based on an attitude to risk and a tolerance.
So holding that thought then, so, you know, you guys manage my pension fund, for instance, right? Are you looking across the weeks and months to tweak, or is it like...
So we've got an investment committee that sit and look at the funds that we've got. So we've got a variety of what we call passive and active funds. So the passive funds are typically lower cost funds. We've then got a number of what we call model portfolios. So we've got 5, 6 risk-based model portfolios based on clients' attitude to risk. So how much risk they want to take, coupled with the capacity for loss. So every client wants massive gains and no risk. So what we'll do on a monthly basis, they're called greedy clients. So let's say, I had one client come in and says, I've been talking to my man at the bank and he said, property is a good investment and I'll get a yield of 10%. Can you do that? I went, no. Because this industry has had people saying to clients, we'll get you 10%. Right, and when they don't get it, that's when the complaints come in. Okay. So we have risk-based model portfolios. So what we do is we put them together based on clients' attitude to risk and how much exposure to certain sectors. We sit down every month and look at, how they've performed and how they've performed against the sector as well. If they then continue, we then engage with fund managers and say, listen, why is your fund? So they work in quartiles. So it's a bit like football again. You want everyone in the Premier League, worst case scenario, the Championship. What you don't want is the bottom 2. So if they're slipping the 3rd and 4th quartiles, it means they're not doing well against the peers.
Right, okay.
We then engage with a fund manager and say, is there a reason?
Right.
And sometimes they'll just say, no. And you'll say, wow. And that's when you'd make the change. Generally, that there's a reason saying, something's coming. Yeah. We had a big stake in Netflix and that's impacted on. Right. But we're going to replace it with X, Y, Z. So it's all about having constant communication with these fund managers to keep looking ahead as well. So we can't predict the future. Yeah. We can only plan for it.
So the Wealth of Advice team keep in touch with those?
Yeah. So the likes of Jordan and Chris will be in regular dialogue with a lot of these fund managers and they'll be giving them first-hand thoughts about, where the market's going. So if you go back 4 or 5 years ago, commercial property was a good diversifier and still is to some extent. However, there was a thought that it was illiquid because you have to have an active buyer and active seller. We chose as a business to withdraw our commercial property funds. Fortunately for our clients, we got out just about everyone before they became illiquid and they were called gated, so they were shut. So it's all about, we're not going to get every call right, but that was a particularly good one to get right. Yeah. So we got clients out at the right time.
So in terms of that call then, your colleagues you mentioned their job is to be all over this stuff, be extremely aware, watching daily.
Absolutely.
Hourly, I imagine.
Yeah, just keeping making sure. And I think it comes back from COVID. What we learned is that the vast majority of our clients had the same concerns. So we push out a weekly or a fortnightly market update to clients, just 7 to 15 minutes, just a quick snippet of what's going on in the world, what's affecting them in simple terms and how it affects them as well. So I think what we've learned is that everyone was scared during COVID because everything was going down. We had some clients saying, well, I've worked it out. And if the markets keep going, I'm going to run out of money on the 26th of June.
Right.
So if that one client had that concern, everyone did. So what we've done is we shortcut calls coming in. And the feedback from clients has been, we love it. We love that. And I'm not saying we fell upon that, but they're much more professional now. They're done every 2 weeks. And they're a really valuable communication tool. That was one of the big things that we learned from COVID.
When we're talking about doing things differently as businesses, is that what the Wealth of Advice does differently? It's that sort of like, you keeping in touch with your clients regularly?
Yep. Yes.
Obviously, you're giving them information like that, which will satisfy their concerns.
Yeah.
How often would you see your client? Like check in annually, just to?
Say clients 1 or 2 times a year. Yeah. Unlimited access to us. We always say that to clients, so they can call us if they've got concerns. If there's major changes, we'll see them, talk them through it. And I think we want to retain every client that we have, and we want to provide a service that they shouldn't need to go anywhere else. So the access is, come and talk to us. If we can't help you, we can pass you on to someone else. Sure. So it's about building that relationship up with the client, saying, you can come in every week if you want, but you probably waste your time and mine. I mean, some of them have got far too much time on their hands, but not that I'm very jealous at all. So, but it's about providing a service that's right for them. Because we don't get me wrong, there's still a few clients that are still nervous about coming back into the office and doing face-to-face. So we don't mandate it has to be face-to-face. So we're doing a bit on Team and Zoom and telephone. It's whatever's right for the client. We don't say you have to come in. We prefer that because that's when we get the best outcome. Sorry,
I'm just looking at the screen now. I think someone's give you a love there. You've got a couple of loves. Give Mike some more love, give him some reactions. It's interesting because, this sort of sector you work in and what you provide, it must be huge around trust.
100%.
Because if you work with my business, it can be quite transient. It can be just, you can come in, you can come out. You haven't lost too much. There's not much risk to you apart from the little bit of money that you would spend, but of course there will be a huge return.
Absolutely.
But with your business, this is their lives, right? They've worked decades for this. And
I think
how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think we've all had jobs in the past where we've not necessarily gone through the motions, but we haven't fully believed in what we're doing, but it's a job. This is different here. I wholeheartedly can look every client in the eye.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely believe we do the best for the client.
Yeah.
And I think they know that as well. And I think that doesn't happen overnight. That's taken 10, 11 years to get to that point. And you're absolutely right. Trust is everything.
Yeah.
If they could do it themselves, it's like everything in life, they'd go and do it themselves.
Yeah.
So they come to us, and it is their life savings, and they do trust us to make them more money than they could make themselves. In really simple terms, that's what it is. We charge an ongoing fee, so it's in our interest to make their money grow because we get a small slice of that year on year. So again, we're really honest about our fees, and we will work hard to do the best that we possibly can because it is commercially right for us as well. But you're absolutely right. Trust's everything, and every new client, go and see another advisor. Go if you want a second opinion, But I'd back us against anyone. I genuinely would. I think we're here for the long term. We give good value for money advice, and the outcomes are there. We've grown, like I said, over 600 clients who have referred, and that's the best ever client you get. Someone that's you've done something where that refers to the brother, the sister, the colleague.
100%.
So that's what we want. But we need to step out of that comfort zone and come to a new area where we don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
And say, right, it's a blank bit of paper. We know we back our processes, we back our results. We've got case studies. Let's see what we can do in this new area. And it's a really exciting time for us.
It's interesting, you talk about marketing and collateral there, case studies and that sort of stuff. And one thing I have realized with you guys is there's no buzzword bingo, is there? And it's hard sometimes for our clients where they've been immersed in this world for so long. The acronyms, the terminology, everything's so ingrained, they expect their clients to understand it. You guys strip that back, and that's what I noticed quite quickly. And, you mentioned one of your colleagues, Sky, earlier on, who does your marketing. It's good. I like that about you guys. There's no flannel, is there?
And again, what's the point? We've all know the pinstripe suits. They made lots of money out of being very average. We don't want to do that. And I know there's lots of competition. There's competition in the area. I get that, but all I want is the opportunity to speak to someone in a language that they'll understand, and let them make an informed decision about where they want to do. And it has to be right for them at outset as well. And they have to trust us because we're going to put a plan together for 20, 30 years in the future. So that's, in a nutshell, what we want.
I've just popped the banner on there, Mike, just people asking if there's any questions. I know we've had a few there earlier on. We started, it was quite interesting. You had a quick flurry of questions, which was cool.
Yeah.
But if you want to ask Mike anything before he leaves, feel free. You did say not personal questions.
Probably take them off camera.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll take them off camera.
Just more because I can probably get more.
Obviously. Yeah. Different types of pensions. Then I touched upon that, and I said I had a final salary pension when I was a boy, and what's that all about? You'll hear these terms bandied around.
Final salary, defined benefit, defined contribution, private pension, workplace pension. It can become a bit of a minefield for clients, but in really simple terms, your defined benefit or final salary was what it says in the paper. It was based on a number of years that you'd worked for a company based on your final salary. And they effectively were, and still are, the Rolls Royce of pensions.
That's who mine was from.
Yeah,
and I'm not there anymore, and I could have retired by now. Like,
yeah, but you wouldn't be here though.
You're right. Yeah, I wouldn't be working for myself. You're right.
Every silver side. Right? So yeah, defined benefit pensions. Yeah, like I said, the Rolls Royce. So you get an annual pension, effectively risk free for the whole of your life.
Yeah.
Some clients choose to transfer that. It's deemed as a high risk area of financial advice because our regulator states that it's the wrong thing to do at outset until you can demonstrate otherwise. So for some clients, doing a defined benefit transfer, which effectively converts an annual salary for life ever into a lump sum that they can access flexibly, is right and appropriate for them.
Yeah. So
talking about that, so if you did transfer into what is a defined contribution, so which is effectively a pot of cash, of which 25% of the pension's tax-free and 75% is taxable. You don't have to take it as a lump sum, so you can have it as income. So the amount of clients that say, I've got £200,000, write me 50 grand lump sum I'm going to, and you're gonna do what? Well, I can get it out, can't I? Yeah, 100%. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to put it in the bank and get 0.2%? Yeah, but I can get it out. Yeah, you can, but you don't need it. Some clients have a capital outlay. The amount of clients that want to blooming camper van or mobile home or whatever.
Hashtag van life. It's where it's at.
Yeah. But someone was telling me there's an 18-month delay for that.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. Right, I'm sure this is Rob. I'm scared here because I can't see the comment before I throw it on screen. And if it's Rob, anything could happen.
Okay.
Right? Rob's upstairs at Vortex, actually, in our building. Yeah. In my experience, many young people
don't think about plan for retirement.
At one point, does it
become too late to do something worthwhile?
Well, thanks, Rob.
Everything's subjective, isn't it? Young. I'm young, 40, 45.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'm not going to retire till 60, 65. So a 15, 20 year period. If I put 40 grand a year away, I got to have a pot of money. But Mrs. Weedon has other ideas. So we don't save 40 grand. So we spend it on dance clothes, and not for me, I might add, for the girls. But what I do at the weekend, I say, is my business. So in reality, it's about projecting out how much you're going. I suppose my question would be about, well, how much can people save, and then extrapolating that over how long it is that till they plan to retire. So how much can you put in? What do you want to get out? But again, you're getting free money off the government. You're getting tax relief going in. If you're a business, you can make employer contributions and save on your corporation tax. So again, I don't think it's ever too late. I mean, if you're 65 and you're going to draw your pension next year, obviously, within reason, but as long as you're realistic about what you're going to get out, I mean, my observation would be, why haven't you done anything yet? Because guess what? Time passes by. But let's have a conversation. Let's see what your plans are and what it's going to produce, and you make the decision whether you think it's too late, because we'll just roll that out over a period of years and say, if you put this in per month up a year, potentially this is what you're going to have. Does that work for you? If it's 3 or 4 years, it probably is too short. If it's 10 or 15 years, it becomes a meaningful total that can impact retirement.
It's really interesting from your point of view, Mike, because you can't give an answer, can you? Because it's not a blanket statement. It's not a one size fits all. I can't say
if anyone over 53 is too old for a pension, or 47 or 62. It's not different. Because it depends on how much disposable income. And I'm not trying to be a politician ducking the question.
No, I get it. Yeah.
It's great. It's not black and white. It's about come and see us, have a chat. I think that's definitely. That's all I'd say. And I won't charge anyone for coming to see me to start with.
Good stuff. I was there last week, and you had a good chat with me as well. That's why we're doing this. I think it's really worthwhile. This is Misha, and again, I'm scared here because I can't see what Misha said here. Let's tag team this then. Carl Buckley asked, assuming someone
didn't need the money for 5 years
and was happy to take some risk,
where would Mike
put 50k, assuming savings accounts, etc.?
Purely for the market.
And this is purely for the market. Okay,
so where would I put a 50 grand investment?
Where would you put 50k, assuming you've got savings and you've got some accounts, etc.?
The obvious place would be the Mike Weedon Trust Fund.
Obviously, the Weedon Foundation.
yeah, absolutely. And bank details can be. No,
Carl spends way too much on cars and motorbikes and beautiful clothes.
So again, 5 years, you're probably looking at something like an invested ISA topped up with a personal portfolio, general investment account. So you have instant access. And again, where we'd advise putting it will be based on your attitude to risk. So how much do you want to risk? ISA allowance, you can put £20,000 a year into an ISA, maximize your ISA contributions. Something like that. And, come and have a chat, definitely worth having a discussion around, but it is based on your attitude to risk, and there is things to be done for that.
Carl's got a good appetite for risk. He's a good lad, Carl. I think he was in a meeting, actually really wanted to check in on this one. So I have said jump on catch up or on demand, Mike.
Definitely.
And obviously, like I say, there will be people in meetings and stuff like that, and they do watch this on demand. I do get a lot of comments after the show because not everyone's around.
Yeah.
How about we leave people with some little tips, little bits of gold? What can we do? I know it's not a one size fits all.
I mean, the earlier you can get your house in order, the better. So, but I'm a realist as well. I get it, and I think the stat flying around at the minute, I think the average, not that there is an average person. I'm not overweight, by the way. I'm under tall, so it's not talking about average. But the average person is meant to have around 13 pension funds. So it's one of those jobs that we put
13 pension funds?
Yeah, so they'll jot around at 13 companies during the working career.
Right, okay.
So what happens is they've got 20 grand here, 30 grand there, 50, and the thing, there's no point looking at that. So it's sometimes worth taking a bit of time to just think, what have I got? And just understanding it. We're not miracle workers. I can't magic more money, but what we can do is play back to you what you have got. And, what would the right thing be? Are you wasting money? It's not for me to say what you should be spending your money on, but if we can find something that says, if you put this away, your pension fund could go to whatever, just get your house in order, understand what you've got, because the amount of clients that tell me, it's a recurring theme that 40 becomes 50, becomes 60, and they haven't even thought about it because the head's been down, they've been working, they've been paying the mortgage off, they've been enjoying the life, they've swapped jobs a few times, they can't remember where it is. Just take stock and have a look at what you've got and come and talk to us, and we'll give you honest advice about just where you are.
On that one where you mentioned people might have a number of pensions, just before we wrap up, I thought of a daft question there, and it certainly did happen to me. You've got a number of pensions. Do you amalgamate them? Do you leave them singular?
Not necessarily. If the fund's performing and it's doing well, the charges, if there's got, some of them have got quirks and features. So, when I was talking about 25% tax-free cash, some, typically older contracts, have what they call protected tax-free cash. So there's a higher percentage. So there may be 30% tax-free cash. So we'd say to the client, actually, that's a really good feature that I wouldn't transfer that because there's a higher chunk of tax-free cash. And things like guaranteed annuity rates are the big ones. So if you went and bought an annuity, which is risk-free, it's dead exciting, this bit. Right. It pays out a monthly amount forever. Now, that might be 4%, but your guaranteed rate might be 5 or 6%. So we'd say, actually, that's a really good feature.
Right, okay.
But the converse of that is someone say, well, I don't want that. I want the lump sum. So again, it's just letting them know and letting them know what they've got. So it's not just a case of saying, what we're going to do, we're going to put it all into one fund. Generally, that can work, but it might be a case of that fund and that fund isn't doing so well and isn't right based on your attitude to risk, because you were mega high risk when you were 40, you're now 60, and you don't want to take that risk. So it's about looking at each fund and each pension fund in isolation and giving advice on that.
Yeah. If somebody came with a big pile of papers like I did the other day, and obviously didn't tell the pension providers that I'd moved house and stuff,
Yeah.
Is that a thing, what you see? Do people just go,
yeah,
do they?
And because of what I said, life's busy.
Yeah.
Pensions, when you're in your 30s and your 40s, on priority, but then something happens. It's a life event. Somebody, passes away, and people have a real mortality and morbidity thing, or there's a divorce, a wedding, something happens, and they think, right, I need to pull things together. Yeah. And they aren't psychic pension providers. You will have to tell them if you've moved, otherwise they will keep writing to your old place. But it's easy to update. Right. No. It's not that. That's the thing. I think financial services is positioned as this really complex thing. The whole point we're trying to make is let it be our problem. Okay. That's what we're doing. We'll take that pain away from you and help you do it, because that's what we're good at.
There's a couple more questions coming there. I'm scared one's Rob, and I'm going to flash it on screen before I've read it. Are there any systems that we can put in place, I'm guessing, is it? So just read that out for us.
Are there any... we can put our pension details in so that we can see how the pensions are performing all in one place. We have. What
does he mean by that? Sort of.
So what we do is that's effectively what we do. We'll benchmark,
like a dashboard. Is he talking about?
It sort of graphs the funds about how they've done. It compares the performance typically over a 1, 3, and 5 year period. And it also compares the volatility. So the fund performance over sort of 3 or 5 years might look great, but if it's like a heart monitor going up and down, that might not be what the client wants. So some clients will say, "We've done the hard bit. I don't want that. I'll compromise the growth because I want a smoother journey into retirement." So that's the sort of thing that we do. So that's we have that facility. I'm not sure that it's available.
I think it's a really good question from Rob, because I think sometimes it's almost retrospectively you get these annual statements, whatever it might be, and you go, "Oh, right, okay."
But what you're comparing against,
about that now.
But what you're comparing it against, it's up 2,150 last year. But if that's a really poor fund and the average is 10 grand, you don't know that. So again, that's the sort of thing that we do, and that's the analysis that we would do. And it's not just a case of saying, how can we make money? How can we move it? We won't move it unless it's right for the client. It has everything we do has to be right. So if anyone has anything that you want us to look at, please come and see me, and I'm more than happy to do that.
I think we've got Matthew here. You have talked about pensions today. You finish that off for a minute.
What other areas of
financial planning can you help people with? Nicely done, Matthew. He's led you right up there. So you set them up, Matthew. He'll knock them down. Absolutely. Come on, let's have it.
So I mean, we do everything from pensions, investment. We look at protection, life insurance. We look at trust planning. We look at wills. We look at estate planning, and not many people in the northeast of England think they've got an estate. But coming back to your point before, Ian, there's a lot of inherited wealth in the northeast from the generations that are coming through now, because a lot of families are first and second generation homeowners that are going to pass on wealth to the kids. And again, it's about careful tax planning as well. It's about clients that own properties, capital gains tax. They want to sell their second property. What are the implications? So we do offer advice on an ongoing basis to all these advisors. So it is focused on pension, what we've talked about, but we do cover a lot of bases. So it's anything financial related. I would say from cradle to grave, but that's a bit corny and a bit morbid, isn't it?
End to end. Oh yeah, actually, it's a bit cliche right. I think we're coming towards the end. We'll probably took an hour. Does that feel like an hour? I bet it feels like 10 minutes. Is it?
10 minutes.
It's mad, isn't it? I really appreciate your time, Mike. And
thank you.
What we're trying to do with these sort of live streams, podcasts, engaging with the audience like that is just giving value. Giving help, giving value. So please take the additional step. If you can, share this. If you feel like somebody else would take some value from this, a little bit of information, and actually, even if it just gives you that little bit of a shove to get your house in order, like what Mike's just said, sometimes as a catalyst, whether that might be weddings or moving house, whatever it might be. If you've took one thing from today that you've said, right, I'm going to pull out that wedge of documents out my bottom drawer and just have a look at it, then great, we've succeeded. So please share this if you think it can help Give Mike some love. Okay, click. I don't like likes. I like a bit of love on these things.
Can I share my biggest achievement in lockdown?
Scared, but carry on.
So I taught my daughter a joke.
Is your daughter watching? She might watch this on.
She might watch it later on, but it's clean as well.
Do you want to say your daughter's name just for
Fern?
Fern. Oh, beautiful name.
Fern delivered it far better than I can.
Have you got a tattoo of Fern?
I haven't got any tattoos.
Have you not?
No.
Why not?
Fat and bald.
However, Fern, get your old man into the tattooist. Get some.
Are you ready for a joke?
Come on, then.
How did the cheesemaker paint his wife?
I've got no idea.
He double Gloucester.
Oh my God.
She delivers that far better than I do.
Absolutely atrocious.
Dad joke? But she's dead cute and she gets away with it.
Yeah, she gets away with it. Well, hi, Fern. Yeah. Thanks for that. Anything else you want to leave us with?
Yeah, wholeheartedly come and speak to me. Come and see me, have a chat. We're informal. We'll be as formal or informal as you want it to be. 1 Trinity Green, based in South Shields, South Tyneside. Anyone wants to pop in, have a general chat, a coffee, and just see if you like us. See if we resonate with you. It's all right, me telling you what I think looks good, but it has to be a two-way thing. You have to be happy that we can help you. I 100% back what we do as a business, and we will look after you like we have looked after a whole host of companies and clients over the years. So thanks, Ian, for the opportunity to do this. Really enjoyed it. And if I could help anyone, that'd be great.
Excellent. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. We'll see you next time. If there is any other topic, any subject matter, any speaker you want me to drag in and interrogate, please let us know. Okay. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.